car, you will have forgot everything that we talk about. So it's really important that you think, that you take notes, and that you discuss. Now here's the second question I want to ask you. What is your biggest business goal or career goal in your life today? What's your biggest goal? What's the number one goal for you? What are you working for? Please tell the person next to you what your biggest goal is. You have to have a goal. You can't drive a car without a destination. You have to have a goal. So what is your goal? And if you can't think of something, lie. Turn to the person next to you and tell them your goal. As Azim said, if you have no goals, then you have no future. All right. Now, this brings us to the greatest question of all, which is going to run through the entire day. And the question is, what is the most valuable and important work that you do in your life and career? What is the most important, what is the highest paid work that you do? Now, when I first heard this question, I didn't know the answer. And then I learned that the most important work that you do is thinking. Thinking is the highest and most valuable work that you do. And this is for several reasons. Because the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your choices and your decisions. Now, you are where you are today in terms of your income, your career, your life success, as a result of all your previous choices and decisions. Every moment in time is a sum total result of all those choices and decisions in the past. If you want your future to be different, you need to make better choices and new decisions today. And everything comes almost like driving a car. You're driving along. If you want to change the direction that you're going in, you have to make a new choice or a new decision to go in a different direction. Thinking is the most important thing of all, because your choices and decisions determine the actions that you take. The actions that you take determine your results. And in business and in leadership, results are everything. The most important question of the leader is, what results are expected of me? What results must I accomplish to be successful? Does everybody here want to earn a lot of money in life? Say yes. Would you like to double and triple your income? Say yes. How do you do that? Well, if you're working in business, if you're working in the private sector, there's only one way, and that's to double and triple your value. The greatest question you ask yourself each day is, what can I do to contribute greater value to my business today? All success comes from value added. All financial income comes from adding more value. Sometimes I will ask people, business people, I say, how many people here work on commission? Commission only work, straight commission. Well, maybe 10 or 15% of people will raise their hands. And then I'll say, well, what is the true answer? And the true answer is that everyone works on commission. Everyone is a commission worker. What does that mean? Is that you get a percentage of the value that you create. Now, you can call it a salary, or you can call it a wage or a bonus or anything else, but the fact is that you get a percentage of the value you create. This is the way the world works, at least in the private sector. We won't talk about other sectors because there's nothing we can do about them. But we will talk about what we can control. By the way, many people sit here and they look at me and they say, well, you don't know how hard it is here in Tanzania. Well, yes, I've spoken in 66 countries. This is the 66th. I've spoken in every country that you can imagine, now in Africa and in Asia and South America. And do these countries have problems? Yes. But there's a rule. This is not part of the seminar, but I want to tell you this because it's very important. If you can imagine a bullseye, like a bullseye or dartboard that has rings. The center ring, the darkest ring, the highest value ring, and then there's two outer rings. The second ring is about the same size, and then the outer ring is very large. The center ring are the things that you can control. In life, there are things that only you can control. You can control what time you arrive here. You can control what you eat, what you learn. You can control your work and your contribution. You can control these things. Control your children because they have minds of their own, but you can't influence them by being a good example and by supporting them and giving them encouragement. You can influence people around you. In fact, a Harvard study said that power in business is the ability to influence people over which you have no control. Now, in business, how do we gain influence over other people? over whom we have no control. People at our same level, even people above and below us. The answer is we help them do their jobs better. We look for opportunities to, as Azim said, give to them, is to help them with their work. And if you help people with their work, there's a natural human tendency called reciprocity, which means that if you help me do my work, I will help you do your work. If you help me to be more successful, I will help you to be more successful. And about 95% of people have this almost like an automatic reaction. You help me, I'll help you. So the top people are always looking for opportunities to help other people, and then later those people will help them back. And you understand this because it's the basis of all of human community is we each help each other. So the second area is the area of influence. Now, as you focus on taking more and more control of your life, you start to influence more and more people over whom you have no direct control. The outer area is the area where you have no control and no influence. Now, most people, or many people, spend a lot of time crying and weeping and saying, yes, but what about the government, and what about corruption, and what about the poverty, and what about unemployment, and so on. Stop it! You have no control and no influence over these things. If you're really concerned, quit your job and go to work for the government for the rest of your life and try to make some kind of a difference. But the fact is, there's a rule in life that says don't worry about things that you cannot control. Don't worry about things that you cannot change. And you cannot change many things in society. So what you do is you adjust to them. Charles Darwin, the biologist, said that success goes not to this, or survival goes not necessarily to the strongest or most intelligent of the species, but to the one most adaptable to change. And so your job is to adapt to change, but not be upset about it. If you cannot change something, don't worry about it. Don't talk about it. Remember, your thinking ability is limited. Your mental energy is limited. So thinking is the most important thing you do, and thinking enables you to get better results. And if you get better results, you will rise higher and higher. The people at the top of every organization started at the bottom of the organization and demonstrated an ability to get results. And they asked, what results are expected of me in my position? And then they got those results quickly and well. And they developed a reputation for getting results. So when you get results, you are given more responsibility, and you are paid more, and you move up. Everybody thinks everything is politics or favoritism or luck. No, it's results. So your job is to think, how can I get better results? Now, I'm going to write a book on this whole subject of thinking because I think it's very exciting, but I want to give you 3 types of thinking practiced by the most successful leaders. And they're very simple, and they're based on many decades of research, Nobel Prize-winning results. Number 1 is called short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. Average people think short-term. They think for immediate gratification. They think what they want to do now. They watch television. They do things that give them immediate pleasure. Top people think long-term. They make long-term plans. They have long-term goals. They study and take courses and read books and come to courses in order to develop skills for the long term. So the more you think long term, the more guaranteed you are to move up in your life and your work and your income. 50 years of research at Harvard transferred worldwide, and I began studying this many years ago. I love this research. Most people missed it when it came out, and it just kind of faded away. But what it basically said is that it doesn't matter where you come from in life, all that matters is how far ahead you think. So if you think 5 or 10 years ahead, and you're willing to sacrifice, and this turned out to be the word in the research, if you're willing to sacrifice pleasure, TV watching, fun in the present, in order to work and prepare yourself for the future, then you'll have a wonderful future. So people who think long-term are the ones who move up faster in the ladder of success. The second type of thinking is called fast thinking versus slow thinking. Now, fast thinking is what you do when you are driving through traffic. You think fast because that's what you have to do, especially in Dar es Salaam traffic. You have to think fast or you will be cut off or have an accident. Slow thinking is the thinking that is required when you are engaging in activities that have long-term consequences. When you are thinking about your career, when you're thinking about how to use your time, when you're thinking about your projects, When you're thinking about upgrading your skills, you use slow thinking. When you're thinking about business decisions that take a lot of time and money, then you use slow thinking. So the big mistake they found, this is Nobel Prize winning material, is that people use fast thinking when they should use slow thinking. They don't take enough time to think carefully about things before they do them, and then the consequences turn out to be very negative. I began studying time management 30 years ago. I was asked to produce a program on time management. So I said, okay, and I sat down and I realized I didn't know a lot about time management, not enough to produce a program. So I began a one-year study, and I read 10 or 12 of the best books in time management. I listened to all the audio programs I could find on time management, and I traveled around the country and I took 6 full-day seminars from different experts on time management. Then I prepared my program. That program became the best-selling program on time management in the history of the world in multiple languages. I then wrote books on the subject, and I am now the top seller of books on time management in the world. My books have sold more than anybody else's put together in 42 languages. So I know a little bit about time management. I still study it almost every day. In fact, I'm studying the ideas from Asim in his book about time management, and I find some of them are very good, and they will help me to think even better in that area. But the word I discovered when I began my research was the word consequences. And everything in time management is to help you set priorities. What do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do last? What are your key priorities? What are the most valuable tasks? And what I found is that something that has long-term consequences is important. Something that has short-term or no consequences is not important. What is the difference between top leaders and average people? Top leaders do things that have long-term consequences, big potential consequences. They do things that are really important for the long term. What do average people do is they spend all of their time doing things of low consequences or no consequences. Watching television, no consequences. You could watch television all day long, 7 days a week, and it would have 0 consequences in your life, except it would ruin your life and make you a failure. You can read the newspapers or comic books. You can waste your time socializing or having fun, and it has no consequences on your future. Are you with me so far? Really important. So you could say in time management, does this have big consequences or no consequences? And doing the things that have big consequences are the key to your success. That's why your great question as a leader is always, what results are expected of me? And of all the results that I could get, what is the biggest and most important result? And then you work only on that. You work only on that one result that can help you and your business, your organization, the most. Now, the third type of thinking, and there's several, there's about 12 types of thinking that will be in my book. I think I will write this book late this year and publish it next year. Third type of thinking is uninformed thinking versus informed thinking. And we'll come back to this later, but uninformed thinking is where we act without enough information. And if we do that, the consequences are that we'll probably make mistakes. Informed thinking is where we gather all the information in advance before we make our decision. And it requires patience, and it requires discipline, it requires slow thinking, it requires long-term thinking to be an informed thinker. People who rise to the top are people who make the best decisions and get the best results. And they are also people in 50 years of research who take the time to get more information. They keep asking questions, they keep studying, they keep learning. They hire consultants. They ask other people for advice. Sometimes one piece of advice from one person with experience in a particular area can change your thinking completely. So thinking, as Thomas Edison said, thinking is the most important thing that we do, and yet it is the most difficult, which is why most people won't do it. Most people do not do thinking. It's too hard. And thinking requires that you stop the clock, turn off your cell phone, shut off the phone, and spend some time thinking. In psychology, they call it mindfulness. You take some time and you think quietly about a big decision before you make it. And we'll come back to this later. Now, here's my next question, and the next question is, what is your most valuable financial asset? Now, if you're a business or a company, you can say it's my factory, my bank account, my stores, whatever it happens to be. What, as an individual, is your most valuable financial asset? Again, when I heard this question, I did not know the answer. But then I realized that it was my earning ability. It's your earning ability. It's your ability to earn money. Economists today call this your earning power. Your earning power is your power to earn money by using your abilities and skills in the marketplace to get a return. And your earning power is something that is becoming obsolete every day. In other words, it's like a piece of factory machinery. It's becoming older every day. If you don't continually rebuild your earning power by learning new knowledge and skills, it actually begins to decline. Now, in the last 2 years, for many years, they've done this study. They take the 500 presidents of the 500 biggest companies in the U.S. They call them the Fortune 500. And they look at their income and their salaries. And last year, the average income of these people was $9,700,000. This year, it's $10,100,000. It's increased by an average of $400,000 in 1 year. Now, they find that the average CEO, top person, is earning 257 times the average income of people who work in his corporation or her corporation. 257 times. Now, here's the shocker. They all started off at the same place when they joined the company. Everybody started at the bottom of the ladder, and now some, after 10 or 20 years, are earning an average of 257 times. Imagine earning $10 million per year. What would that do for your life if you could do that for just 1 year? I mean, think about it. And all of these people started at the bottom. So they went back and they did a 25-year research study into the careers of these top people to find out how they went from the bottom to the top. And after 25 years of interviews and studying their employment records and appraisals, they found the answer. This is one of the most important success principles ever discovered because everybody who uses it begins to enjoy higher income very fast. What they found is that these people developed a strategy, all 500 of them, which was different from the people around them. When they took their first job, they asked themselves, what one skill would help me the most to make a more valuable contribution to my business right now? And they would ask their boss, and their boss would tell them, well, if you were very good in this skill, that would help your career because we need more of this. If you were good at marketing, or if you were good at team building, or if you were good at analyzing financial statements. Well, here's a great breakthrough thought that changed my life forever. It was that all business skills are learnable. All business skills are learnable. All money-making skills are learnable. All sales skills, marketing skills, leadership skills, they're all learnable skills. And how do you learn a skill? Is you take in instruction and you just practice it over and over until you learn it. If you can drive a car or ride a bicycle, you can learn any business skill. And sometimes you're only one business skill away from doubling your income, doubling your value in your business. And I cannot tell you how many people have taken this one idea from me and gone and asked their boss, what one skill would help me the most to make a more valuable contribution? And then they set it as a goal, and then they made a plan, and they worked on that skill every day, just a little bit, until they had mastered the skill, and their income doubled and tripled in less than a year. After years of working for the same company, the company came to them and said, we want to pay you more money. Your contribution is so valuable. Would you accept more money from us? Okay. Would you accept a bigger office, and we'd like to get you a secretary and give you an expensive car that the company will pay for? Okay. I'll take it. And they found that these people at the top were people who climbed the ladder of success. Now, every rung on the ladder of success is a new skill. Each time you use a new skill, it combines with your other skills to make you more valuable and productive, to enable you to create and contribute more value to your business. And each time they learned a skill, they would climb a little higher in terms of earning ability and income. If you ever stop learning new skills, you flatten out, and your income flattens out as well, and then begins to decline because your skills, your existing skill set is becoming obsolete. Now, each time you step up the ladder of skill development, you find it easier to learn new skills as well. So they find in this study that 80% of people today will work hard in the first year to learn the necessary skills, and then like an airplane rising to a certain altitude, they will flatten out, and they will go flat for the rest of their careers. 1 year after starting work, 10 years after starting work, they are no more productive than they were after 1 year. Because 80% of the population, and this includes managers, have flattened out and they don't learn anymore. As a result, their average income goes up by between 1% and 3% per year if they're lucky. However, the people in the top 20%, like yourselves, people in the top 10%, increase their income by 11% per year on average. People in the top 10% increase their income by 25% per year on average, which means that you will double your income every 3 years. People in the top 3% increase their income by sometimes 30, 40, 50% in a year. How do they do it? By learning essential skills that enable them to move up. So I'm going to give you one of the best questions that you'll ever learn, and this question can actually make your career. It can make you a great success or much more successful than you are today. And here's the question. If we could wave a magic wand and overnight you could become excellent at any one skill, which one skill would help you the most to double your income? Which one skill would help you the most to be more valuable in your business, to make a more valuable contribution? Now, whatever the answer to that is, you must know the answer. If you don't know the answer, you cannot move ahead in your life. You cannot climb the ladder of success. Your income is fixed. You cannot earn more money unless you steal it, which is also a possibility. But the point is, you must know the answer to the question, what is the next step on my ladder? What is the most important skill that you can develop today? And you don't try to develop 100 skills at once. You develop one skill at a time. This was the strategy practiced by the highest paid 500 people in America. They learned one skill at a time and climbed the ladder. But here's the most amazing thing. When you're focused on developing one skill, you sort of automatically start to become better and better at other skills. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them the one skill that if you could be excellent at it overnight would help you the most in your current work and your current business. What's the one skill? Imagine I could go through with a magic pill, and here's a magic pill, and you pop the pill, boom, and boom, you'd be excellent at a skill. What skill would you choose? You have to write it down, then you get the magic pill, you pop the pill, and poof, you're suddenly excellent at that skill. Which one skill would help you the most? So turn to the person next to you and tell them the answer. And you must know the answer. If you don't have an answer, we'll take a break and we'll allow you to go and sit down and think about it, okay? The goal of doubling your income as soon as possible. And once you've doubled your income, you should have a goal to double it again. That's a good goal. Remember, if you don't have a goal, then it will not happen. It's not going to happen by a miracle, I can promise you. So you should have a goal to double your income. But here's what we discovered. Every income goal is attached to a new skill. Is in order to earn more, you have to learn more. Is that in order to earn an amount that you've never earned before, you must develop a skill you've never had before. Or you must develop a current skill to a higher level. And what do we know about all business skills? All business skills are what? Learnable. Now, that means it would be crazy for you to settle at a lower income when you could quite easily earn a higher income just by developing a skill. And how do you develop a skill? You turn off the television. You turn off the smartphone. What they found with these people who went from the bottom to the top is that they studied an average of 2 hours each day, 5 days a week, throughout their careers. They studied a little bit in the morning, they studied a little bit in the daytime, and in the evening they studied for an hour or two. They just make it a habit. Instead of watching television, they would sit down and they would work on studying. Now, if this is the key to success, and it's one of the greatest breakthroughs, in my estimation, ever discovered, climbing the ladder of income one step at a time, why is it that everybody doesn't do it? Well, here's what they discovered in the research. Number one, it's lonely. Is you have to cut yourself off and sit quietly and learn. Learning is hard work. There's no secrets. I teach super learning, accelerated learning, fast learning, but still I know that learning is hard work. The second is that it's hard work. And it's lonely and it's hard work. Those are the two reasons why people don't do it, because most people prefer to have fun. Most people prefer to watch television and have fun and socialize. And that's okay. If you have no future, if you're quite content with your current income, then you just have fun, like children playing. And most people like children playing. They have fun. They go to work, and they look at work as their primary play place. This is where they play with their friends. When they were children, they played with their friends. When they grew up and went to school, they played with their friends. When they went to college, they played without supervision. And now they go and they get a job, and they come to work and they say, people my own age. What do I do with people my own age? You play. And what is play? Adult play is conversation. Talk about nothing that has anything to do with work. Average person spends 40 to 50% of each day talking to their coworkers about things that have nothing to do with the work. Just play. And then they wonder why 5 or 10 years later, someone else has moved up very fast and they're still at the same place. Well, the answer is because you're playing all the time. And so what you have to do is take a little bit of time off every day to learn and increase your skills. If you want to be physically fit, you have to do physical exercise. If you want to be mentally fit, you have to work on improving your mind. So, third question is, what is the most important part of today? The most important part of today is what you do afterwards. It is the actions that you take. And I cannot tell you how important this is. Leaders are intensely action-oriented. When they learn new material, they don't think, oh, that's an interesting idea. They always say, how can I apply that in action immediately? How can I do something? So the question of the leader is, what is my next action? What is my next action? That's an interesting idea. What am I going to do with it? Not, oh, this is entertaining and make a few notes, but what am I going to do with this in order to get better results? So the actions that you take afterwards are more important than anything else you do. I used to give a coaching program for business owners and executives like yourself, and I designed this program. It took me about 3 years to perfect it. But I was able to say, if you come to me for 1 year, one day every 3 months, for 1 year, I will show you how to double your income and double your time off with your family. And if I don't, then you don't have to pay anything for the year of specialized training and coaching. And I never had to give a refund, because nobody ever failed. Most people doubled their income within 30 days because of all kinds of little techniques that I taught them that are practiced by top people. And at the end of each session, which was one full day of work and writing and planning and discussion. So I would teach, they would write, and then they would discuss. At the end of each session, they would make an action commitment. They would write down one action that they were going to take afterwards and the date by which they would complete that action. And then they would go away for 90 days and come back, and they were astonished. All of them had completed their actions. And just one action after another, sort of like dominoes falling. They were absolutely amazed, and their lives just transformed because they made action commitments, and then they took action on their commitments. So as we go through today, I want you to be thinking of what action can I take that will improve my life in some way? What actions will we take? So we're going to begin, but I want to begin with the greatest breakthrough in all of human history. It goes back 4,000 years before Christ. It was something that was taught in what was called the ancient mystery schools, maybe even back in the history of Africa, which is, the cradle of civilization. And what is it that what is the name of the gorge here at Tanzania that is called the cradle of civilization? Pardon? Oduvago? Yes, that was the one. And ever since the beginning of civilization, people have been asking the questions, how shall we live in order to be happy? How shall we live in order to be healthy and prosperous and successful? How shall we live? Well, the greatest discovery made about 4,000 years ago was that your thoughts become your realities, is that your outer world becomes a reflection of your inner world. Your outer world is like a mirror of what you think. So the discovery was that you become what you think about most of the time. So what is it that you think about most of the time? Because it's almost like the directional mechanism in a missile is once you have programmed it into the missile with an action commitment or a goal, your life starts to go in that direction. So you become what you think about most of the time. If you want to be a top leader, how do you become a top leader? Is you think and act like top leaders. And if you think like a leader, you are one. Great breakthrough is you can be a leader with no followers. You can be a leader with no staff. As a matter of fact, the people who are at the top of the biggest organizations in the world with 100 or 200 or 300,000 employees earning 10 or 20 or $50 million a year start at the bottom with minimum income. How did they get there? They focused on acting and thinking like leaders and taking action to get results. And if you do that, we start off with no staff. Soon, your company will give you staff, and then more staff. And I worked with a man who started at the bottom of a company. I remember he told me his story. Within 15 years, he had 10,000 staff under him. The company kept promoting him and giving him more staff. Pretty soon, entire countries were put under him because he had this incredible ability to coordinate people and get results.